Most advice about quitting corn sounds right, and still keeps people addicted. I know because I followed it for years and I went nowhere. After 3 years clean, I'll expose the things that really worked for me, and I'll share a very important concept at the end that determines whether you quit for good or keep repeating the same cycle. Now, for a long time, I genuinely thought something was wrong with me. I would quit, feel motivated for a few days, maybe even a week, and then somehow end up right back where I started. Every relapse made it worse, because it wasn't just the habit anymore. It was the voice in my head telling me I was weak and undisciplined. But later on, I realized what was the real reason behind that. Trying to quit corn while keeping the same phone, the same apps, the same life is like trying to stop eating junk food while living inside a McDonald's. You can promise yourself you'll be strong, but eventually with time, the environment wins. That's why just try harder never works long term. Once I understood that, I stopped attacking myself and started looking at what was actually keeping the addiction alive. That meant deleting TikTok, Instagram, not watching TV shows, and most importantly, limiting access to my phone. But that doesn't work if you misunderstand what you're actually trying to quit in the first place. While I was trying to quit, I kept seeing the same comments everywhere, especially on Reddit. Stuff like, "NoFap doesn't work, masturbation is healthy, science says it's good for you." And while that might be true, they got it all wrong. What science calls healthy isn't you watching, getting turned on, and doing it on purpose. It's the automatic stuff your body does on its own while you're asleep. What most people are doing is very different. They're bored, they're stressed, so they use fapping as a quick escape. When people quit corn but keep fapping, they don't actually break the habit. That's why so many guys say, "I quit corn, but nothing changed." So once you understand that, you finally see what you're actually dealing with. But knowing this doesn't guarantee you'll stick to it. To make sure that you don't quit for a few weeks and then slowly go back, you have to apply one very important concept. I call it the identity shift. The identity shift is simple. You don't quit by fighting habits all day. You quit when the habit no longer matches who you believe you are as a person. Most people say, "I'm trying to quit." That sentence alone already puts them in trouble, because it means deep down, they still see themselves as someone who does it, just someone who's resisting for now. What finally worked for me was flipping that. Here's a simple example. A non-smoker doesn't sit there battling cigarettes all day. When offered a cigarette, they just say, "I don't smoke," and move on. Not because they're strong, but simply because it's not who they are. When you see yourself as an addict trying to quit, every urge feels like a fight. But when you start seeing yourself as someone who doesn't do this anymore, the urge loses its power, because acting on it would feel out of character. Every time you say no, even once, you're building a new identity. Enough votes, and the old one dies off naturally. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Quitting doesn't happen because you're strong. It happens when your environment and your identity stop pulling you backwards. So instead of trying to figure all this out on your own, I created a small free Discord community full of guys on the same path. A place where you can build a strong environment and be around people just like you to actually help you quit. If you're serious about changing this part of your life, the link's below. James was here, amigos.